Good morning, students. You might be safe at home. So once again I am in front of you with a new chapter. The name of the lesson is The Eagle Has Landed. Now see, it is quite surprising, na students? Now eagle has landed means what? Who is the eagle? Eagle is a bird. And where it has landed? No. Here, see, sometime when you read the newspaper, when you read the headlines, should be attractive and catchy, right? So that the readers may get interest. Now you all have an interest, got an interest now. That what is about the eagle? So here the eagle is a spacecraft. And where it is landed, we will see. Okay? So let us start. In our picture you can see here the spacecraft and the astronaut. What they are known as? Astronaut. Okay? The moon is about 1,60,000 kilometers. The moon is about 1,60,000 kilometers away from the earth. Space scientists created history when they landed on the surface. So we will read this passage and know about the more amazing event. Yeah, student, you know, I was thinking, I was most crazy that if I can be an astronaut so that I can land on the moon. But certainly I became a teacher. But let us see about this lesson now. It was the 16th July 1969 at a space center in Houston, in America. At 9:32 in the morning, the Apollo 11 spacecraft left the Earth. So this was the most memorable day for the entire world. Okay, which day? 16 July 1969. So from the space center, what is the name of a space center? Houston in America. At what time? 9:32 in the morning. And what was the name of a spacecraft? The Apollo 11 spacecraft left the Earth. Earlier Apollo missions has practiced spending time in space and orbiting the moon. The crew member on this trip were Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins and Edwin Buzz Aldrin. So these are the name of the crew member or the astronaut. Okay, those who were present on the Apollo mission. After going around the Earth 1.5 times, the spacecraft took off from the moon. Only 19 July, the Apollo began to orbit the moon. Now, when the spacecraft is launched, you might have seen in the TV, na? They count 10, 9, 8, 7 and certainly at 0 the spacecraft is launched and it will go to the high and high above the sky. But suddenly it cannot reach to the space. It has to orbit because it was going against the gravitational force. So this has to orbit on the Earth and it takes several of the time. Right? And at a certain period after orbiting on around the earth, then they reach to the space. On 19 July, the Apollo began to orbit the moon. So see here, on 16 July, they had left from the earth and when they started orbiting, 19 July. So how many days it took? Yes, 16, 17, 18, that is almost 3 days. And on 19 July, it was orbiting near the Earth. Aboard the command modula Columbia, the crew settled in for their long ride to a place where no human being had ever been before. After orbiting the moon for 24 hours, Armstrong and Aldrin moved to the lunar modula known as a Eagle. So, what they did, the crew, they have settled down. Now they were on a command, the abroad command. Now the space, okay, as it moved to the spacecraft or the spacecraft, as it moved to the space, the several part of the space is left behind. Only the module, the main, here you can see the main module, the main satellite, that takes a orbit. You might have seen in the picture or in a movie or a documentary. Okay. After orbiting the moon for 24 hours, for how many hours? 24 hours. Armstrong and Aldrin moved to the lunar modula known as the Eagle. Collins stayed in Columbia. The Eagle separated from the Columbia and landed on the moon on 20 July. At 4:17 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the lunar modula landed on the moon Sea of Tranquility. Armstrong Radio Mission Control. Radio Mission Control means the control from the spacecraft to the Space Center. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. They had sent a message to the Space Center that Eagle has successfully landed on the moon. Unbelievable. People from all over the world were glued to their television screen. Nearly 7 hours later at 10:15 p.m. EDT, that is Eastern Daylight Time on the time zone in North America, Neil Armstrong took mankind's first step on the surface of the moon. The mission was almost about to fail before landing. In fact, the lunar modula flashed a yellow caution light 6,000 feet above the lunar surface before it landed. Armstrong advised both Collins and Houston in the command module. What was 12,002? It meant that the computer had too many things to do at once. Should they abort the lunar landing quickly? Steve Bells, the Houston flight control for the lunar modula, computer activity, determined that everything was fine. Later, when the Apollo 11 crew received the Medal of Freedom, Steve Bells received one too. Without his fast and accurate means what? Correct input, the lunar landing would not have taken place. So, the mission was almost about to fail before the landing. So, in fact, the lunar modula, what they did is flash a yellow caution light on 6 feet above the lunar surface before it landed. That means from the height of the 6 feet, they were taking the image of the moon. And what was the color of a moon? Yellow in color. Okay. Now, it was Armstrong advised to Collins and Host in the command module that they have to be land there. It is necessary to land on the moon. Now, during that period of time, the person who was handling the computer, that means the connectivity between a spacecraft, between astronaut and between a space center, it was being carried out by a Stephen Bells. Now, what he was deciding, either he should abort the lunar landing, that means they has to return back without landing, but due to Armstrong, it was possible to land on the moon. So when they were being aborted, similarly that time the Stephen Bells one been also been aborted, was rewarded. Okay. On 20 July 1969 at 10:56 p.m. EDT, that is Eastern Daylight Time and one of the time zone in North America, Neil Armstrong placed his left boot on the surface of the moon and said, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." So on 20 of July 1969 at 10:56, when Neil Armstrong, when he came down, you can see here the photo, okay? When he placed his first left boot on the moon. So what he said, this is the one small step of the man. But the day will come when the man will capture the entire moon. Then he answered the question that scientists and the laymen alike had asked for centuries. What is the moon like? Now there was a curiosity among the The people, the scientists, those who were sitting in the space center. So they started asking a various type of questions, because it was the very first time they can visualize the moon. Okay, they can see practically how the moon space is. So they were starting how the moon like. The surface is fine and powdery. Armstrong reported, I can pick it up loosely with my toes. There seems to be no difficulty in moving around as we suspected. So what is it? The land of the moon is a powdery, it is a fine powder. Okay, easily I can carry out with my toes, as it is not hard to work on it as we were thinking. 18 minutes later, Aldrin joined Armstrong on the lunar surface. Aldrin also walked on the moon during that first trip, while Michael Collins, remaining with Columbia, orbited the moon 30 times. During their 2 hours and 31 minutes of traversing means moving or traveling through an area, Aldrin and Armstrong also took pictures of the lunar landscape and of each other. They planted an American flag and left a plaque. So, who has joined him? Aldrin. Aldrin also joined him 18 minutes later. He also walked on the moon. It was his first trip. Why? While Matt and Collins remained in a Columbia, or the space craft, and keep on orbiting the moon, taking up the pictures for 30 minutes. During their 2 hours and 31 minutes of traversing, that means traveling, moving up time, we can say, okay, throughout that area, Aldrin and Armstrong took the picture of lunar landscape and each other. So they have taken several of the pictures of the lunar landscape, not only the lunar landscape but also about themselves. And they planted a African flag. Here the man from planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind. After 21.6 hours of total time on the moon, Armstrong and Aldrin safely left the surface in the lunar model and docked with Columbia for their return to the Earth. So, you might have understood the lesson clearly, children. So, now we will see the grammar. Complex sentence. You have already learned that complex sentence is a sentence that contains an independent clause and a subordinate or dependent clause, which are sometimes joined by subordinating conjunction like although and because, or relative pronoun like whose and which. Read the sentence. Aboard the command modula Columbia, the crew settled in for their long ride to a place where no human being had ever been before. The highlighted part of this sentence is a subordinate clause, while the other part is an independent clause. So this is a subordinate clause and this is all the other part is a independent clause. This sentence is therefore called a complex sentence. Now let us see. Transfer this set of simple sentences into a complex sentence. You may have make change and add deleted or delete the words. She, first sentence, she is well educated. She has little experience. So, what I will use here? Although. I will start the sentence with although. Although she is well educated, comma, she has little experience. Okay, I have added here. Second sentence, there are many forms of exercise. Yoga is the best. Now, there are many forms of exercise of which yoga is the best. Again, I have added something that is a of which. You will not succeed in your business. You must advertise extensively. Now, you will not succeed in your business unless you, so I have to delete must, okay, unless you advertise extensively. Let us go to the restaurant. We meet there for the first time. Let us go to the restaurant where we meet there for the first time. Her father died. She was very young. Her father died when she was very young. Now student, I will explain you the abbreviations. What is an abbreviation? Okay, it is a shorted form of any words or phrase. An abbreviation is a shorted form of a word or phrase used in writing to represent the complete form. For example, PM, that is a post meridian. HR, that is a hour. KM, you are writing, that is a, we can say, kilometer. Okay. Now, what do the following abbreviations stand for? RD, road. MIN, minutes. Cent, SQ, square. Rewrite this sentence after abbreviation with underlined word. Mr. Gupta lives on Parliament Street. So, how it is been written here? Mr. Gupta live on Parliament Street. You can see the small form. Okay. Last month, Dr. Sharma set my broken foot. So, doctor, abbreviation of doctor is DR. Dr. Sharma. Mohan celebrated his birthday on 15th September. The abbreviation of 15th September is 15th, TH and Sept, SEPT. Captain Rajat Prakash won a gallantry award. Captain, CAPT, Captain. Underline Rajat, RAJAT. Professor Arjun Ghosh delivered a brilliant lecture. Professor, so what is short form abbreviation? PROF, Professor Arjun. Okay. So you might have understood the lesson very well, students, and also the grammar. Now we will meet you on the next session. Have a good day. Bye.